Hi and welcome to Behind the Brand. My name is Thobani Mkhize and I am your host. Thank you very much for your support on my YouTube channel. Thank you to those who have subscribed and those who are about to subscribe now. Well, today we have Pastor Malatsi right here on our studios. We'll be having a book review whereby we'll be discussing one of his books that he have under his belt. Pastor Malatsi, welcome on stage.
Thank you, sir.
How do you feel? How do you feel?
Interesting, and I love the concept behind the brand.
Yes.
Man, I'm sold.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, because of course we actually want to know, we want to get to know the person behind the brand. So Pastor Malatsi as an author, yes, we've seen his book, but I feel abantu abaningi emakhaya they do not know you know. So today we just here to uncover who is Pastor Malatsi. Pastor Malatsi, who are you?
Thank you so much, sir. Yes. I don't know how far I should take it, but maybe let me start from where I grew up. Pastor Malatsi is a young boy coming from the towns of Rustenburg, one of the villages around there.
Yes.
And of course, where I grew up, there were not many opportunities. And I went to study in the townships when I was in high school.
Yes.
And that's when I started, my spectrum started getting opened. And funny enough, that's when I got born again as well.
Okay.
Yes, when I went to high school, and I don't know, the Lord just grew me so quick because I got born again in the SCM, Old School Christian Movement.
Yes.
Some other places would have it as SCO, School Christian Organization. And of course, I got born again there. First year, second year, the third year, I was actually the chairperson of the same establishment when I was doing matric. So I kind of accelerated the way God wanted to. But as I grew up, I realized the purpose why. There's a lot that God wanted to do through me. So I basically started preaching from there while I was still in high school. So that's why sometimes when I have to talk about my preaching experience, I find it difficult because should I add the high school part?
Exactly. From what people know.
Exactly. But I've been preaching for some years, and of course I studied civil engineering as well. I studied civil engineering TUT. So I'm a qualified diploma civil engineer. I'm a technician.
Okay.
And then also I'm studying theology, which is one of the things that I actually want to go further into. I'm actually at the master's level. I'm praying that I go to PhD. And
The big guy.
Exactly. But the books that I write, I'm not necessarily writing on a scholarly basis. They are more of devotional books. So I don't put a lot of course when you're a scholar, you're a scholar. There'll always be that touch. But I try my level best to make sure that they accommodate everybody. So they are not necessarily only for scholars.
Let me take you back. I think you've mentioned something very interesting. You said growing up, that's when you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and then you started preaching during your school days. I want to talk about that. What were the challenges that you faced as a young man? Of course, in school, when you go to school, it's not everyone who accepted Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior. I can just imagine that they actually look at you a certain way because they think, hey, now I'm everything. Maybe what are the challenges that you faced? Are they the same as the challenges as us, or can you say your challenges were a bit different since you had Christ at a younger age?
Wow, that's interesting because they started calling me Mfundisi from there.
I knew exactly.
That's what happens to most of us. But again, young, and then they start calling me Mfundisi. But for me, I think from an earlier age, I've been walking a journey of self-discovery. And the reason I'm saying this is because I always felt like I don't fit in. I don't fit in anywhere. For instance, when I was growing up, even from primary school, my dad was a businessman. So he was known in the village. So I never had an opportunity to be naughty because everybody knew me. Everybody knew me. So I couldn't be like any other normal kid. So I always had that clash of identity because older people would kind of respect me, and I had to reflect the respect back. and as a result, I wouldn't fit in properly with my peers.
Yeah.
So when I got born again, the same thing kind of like yielded into my life. I found Christ, or rather Christ found me. And I had the same identity crisis where people would respect you because I had to, because it was something that I grew up with, I was already accustomed to that. I just had to adjust that, you know. It's just now in the body of Christ. It's no longer just because my dad was a businessman. So I kind of had that thing, routine. But the challenge, of course, is that as a child, as a young person, you still have those desires to explore. You wanna be like everybody else. Exactly. You know, but what I found intriguing was that I learned to be satisfied with myself, right at a young age. I learned to be satisfied with who I am, what I can do, what I can do. And one of the key things was that I didn't have many friends. And I learned to be at peace with that. You know, I learned to be at peace with the fact that not everybody would find me interesting. You know, and even when people walked out of my life, I learned to be okay with that, and it helped me throughout the years.
Because that's actually very profound. Because you know, looking at these days, we actually struggle to fit in. You know, sometimes the person will be so frustrated. No, why can't I fit in? So they will go out of their way trying to fit in. They will waste a lot of money trying to fit in because they feel if they don't fit in, they are actually like pasemuva. You know, everyone is moving on and everyone. So that's a very, very profound, of which it's something that we also need to talk about some other time. I think that's another person, another topic for another day, of course, you know. Being able to accept yourself at a young age, you know, accept what you can do, accept what you cannot do.
That's true. Very interesting. Around 2006, I was back in Rustenburg, and by then I was still working. I was working at a retail store that I'm not gonna mention because of advertising reasons. I was working at the retail store, and one of the things that I found challenging, because I had left Rustenburg for some years. So when I came back, the people that I grew up with were no longer around. So I had to fit into a new group of people. You know, I'm coming back to the church. I don't know the people in the church and all that. And it took me a while to adjust. But in the process of adjusting, I learned to be okay when people were not, you know, when I was not fitting into any group. You know, when you after church, you will see those people standing there, and you are there standing alone. You don't even know who to approach. I learned to be okay with that. I learned to open my heart that anybody who comes to me, I'll talk to them. You know, until of course I could find a group. And even when I moved out of that environment, I was still okay wherever I went, because it helps when you accept yourself when you are young. It really helps.
You know, there's so much wisdom in what you're actually talking about right now. You know, that self-acceptance. Of course, I'm repeating this again. I think that is something that we need to talk about, because I think that's what young people are suffering from. This self-acceptance. Okay. Let's talk about your books now. Let's take us to your books. Just introduce us to your books. I know you have two under your belt.
Yes. Okay, the first one is Focus, Pursuing Your Goal in Life. So basically, Focus, I wrote it by the beginning of the lockdown, when we were still in the hard lockdown. God started speaking me with the message of focus. And what God was basically saying to me was that, you know, COVID is going to pass. And you don't want people to find themselves devastated by COVID, that they don't even have a step moving forward. You know, and it started off as a message, which was a series that I preached in our church. And then after that series, that's when I collected the material and then sat down, broke it down, and then put it together in a book form. So that's how Focus came to be. And it's one of the most interesting books. For me, I felt this was one of the best, you know. Then after that, I went to another series of pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure. So this message of pressure, it actually started as a title of the book.
Yes.
And then while I was still in the process of writing the book, because I've got a number of books that I posted.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a number of books that I started and then
Yes.
I've just paused because I felt the season is not right yet. So it came as a title. I had the bullets on what I want to talk about. But then God started speaking to me that, put this in a message form.
Yes.
And when I put it in a message, I started expanding the whole idea of pressure. And then from there, that's when I again came back and then put it together into a book. So yeah, I think that's the one that we're gonna be discussing today.
Pressure.
Yes.
What inspired the pressure? Because, you tell me.
Yes. Well, what inspired pressure is the fact that, lockdown passed. And now we are starting to rebuild our lives. Some people are starting to apply for jobs again. Some people are trying to get their feet again. But one of the things that make us as people to struggle in life is the issue of pressure. So what inspired the message and the book is the fact that you can't rebuild your life while you are still dealing with pressure on other things. For instance, COVID came, it swept most of the people out. Some people lost their jobs, some people lost opportunities and everything. Now, if you are going to start rebuilding, you can't now be under pressure of comparing yourself with somebody else because you don't have the same resources that they have. Some people had backup money. You didn't. So the pressure will stop you from actually getting back on your feet if you don't deal with it. And that is really what God was inspiring in my heart to say, look, help people understand that you can't get yourself back together if you are going to be dealing with issues of pressure.
Because, we actually lost a lot of things during COVID. We lost our loved ones. We lost our source of income, people were retrenched, businesses, they got dissolved and people lost properties, people lost cars, people lost almost everything. So I can just imagine how devastated they were and how they felt, So now when I'm hearing about pressure, I feel with pressure, your book is actually a stepping stone to say, tell me, these are the steps that you need to take as you're rebuilding your life again, as a whole. Because I feel we have lost so much hope. Let me be honest, we have lost so much hope and lost people. And many people, even church goers, people who used to go to church, they don't go to church anymore because they felt guilty. I've lost a lot of things, so why do I need to go to church? Where was God? No one tells us on this.
It's true. So yes, now when it comes to the book pressure, the way I've scheduled it, so all of my books they are centered around a particular scripture. Okay, so the approach is biblical, of course, because of my pastoral background. But what I do then is I expand the thinking beyond just the scope of that verse. And like you are saying that most of the people lost hope. I would pick up a character in the Bible and I would analyze their lives. That when you go through something, of course they didn't go through COVID, but they had the pandemics of their time. They had some devastations of their time. So the book Pressure is based on the life story of Nehemiah. Nehemiah was in captivity for the longest of time, but he had a heart, a passion to go and rebuild the wall back in his hometown, and the pressure that he felt just approaching the king to ask for favors to go back. The pressure that he felt because Sanballat and Tobiah wanted to stop the project, and they kept on trying to discourage him. They kept on trying to threaten him and all those, the kind of pressure that he had to go through, and yet he managed to finish the project. So that's the whole idea. The whole idea is don't abandon the project because of pressure. Keep moving until you get the project done. So in the book, we're dealing with different kinds of pressure. For instance, we're dealing with financial pressure, where you find yourself, COVID has swept everything out of your life, and financially you are still recovering. How do you deal with the issue of pressure, that you don't find yourself now spending under pressure? And how do you recover from a financial devastation? We talk about pressure of loss, for an example. You've lost a loved one. How do you recover from there? pressure that comes as a result of loss. But then we're talking about loss not only of a loved one, also of property. Some people lost houses, some people lost cars because they couldn't afford anymore. How do you recover from that? Those are the things that we address in the book. We talk about different topics that has to do with pressure. Everywhere you find like peer pressure, and many people think peer pressure is just about the youth. No, peer pressure is about the peers that you work with, the peers that are within your life, your age group sometimes. So it's a broader spectrum of a view of pressure in different angles in life.
And as you're saying about pressure, the abantu that you work with, your peers, it goes back to what you were saying, knowing yourself, accepting yourself, accepting what you can do, accept what you cannot do.
That's true.
It just takes me back to that, because finance, I think finance is one of the biggest pressures that young people of these days will actually go through.
Yes. That's true. That's true. When it comes to the issue of finance, man. I think everybody in the back of their minds think we need money. That's what everybody thinks. And the sad thing is that, and I address this in the book, the sad thing is that if you don't have the right attitude towards money, money can make you a slave. Money can literally make you go out of character just to make money. People just do things that are unspeakable for the sake of money. But if you can handle the pressure that comes with money, you can do the most with the little that you can. I grew up in a family background where my grandparents were working they were domestic workers. My grandfather was working in a butchery. My grandmother was a domestic worker. Can you believe they built a house? It's very nice, it's beautiful, man. I'm talking about my grandparents. They built a house, it's very nice, it's very organized. But with the little that they got, because they knew how to handle money, they were not competing with everybody else around them. So when you know how to handle the pressure that comes with finances, you can get as little as you can and still make the best out of it.
Sure. I know that this is one powerful review, actually. I know this is one powerful review, if I have to say so. Okay, so besides finance, what are the other things that you actually cover on the pressure that you feel, which is actually speaking to young people, more especially who are going through things out there?
The issue of peer pressure again, and peer pressure, I did not. Of course, it touches young people, but I did not just narrow it within young people, because peer pressure, you can experience it, for instance, at work. You are working with people and your peers look like they are making more advances than you. If you are going to buy a car because your colleague bought a car, that's pressure. You are literally yielding to pressure. So, but when it comes to peer pressure, what you need to understand then is that you don't have to do things because they are done. You have to be decisive, because only you know what your capabilities are. Only you know what your potential is. You have to be decisive on what is it exactly that I'm trying to achieve. What is it that I'm doing? I'll make an example in the book of a certain woman. This woman was a teacher. She quit her job and then she went and worked for a recycling company. So what they do then is she will pick up the recycling material from these guys who go around the dustbins, picking up boxes, picking up tins, picking up bottles, and all that. Then she's more of a liaison. So she will take those things and then pay the guys, and then she would give them to the company pays her, And we went to her because we wanted to explore this recycling business. We went to her and asked her how the business is going and everything. And she was gracious enough to give us her full story. And she says, I was a teacher and I quit my job. And the reason I quit my job for this job is that I know it's stinking. I know you are working with people who are not decent. I know nobody would even think about this. But she says, I'm satisfied. I'm content. And she says, the reason why I left teaching is because everything we did there, we had to do as colleagues.
Yeah.
And so you get that pressure, you know, when your colleagues are going to buy a new house, you feel like your house is old.
Now I need to buy myself
Now
a
I
new
need
house.
to buy
Yeah.
a new house. You know, when they change the cars that they drive, now all of a sudden your car looks old. You want to buy. And she says, I couldn't cope with the pressure. And I felt that if I could find something that I could do that would still have a meaning in my life. So this lady managed to do something that actually brought meaning to her life. And that for me, it ministered to me because she managed to deal with the pressures in her life by diverting her career into something that actually matters. You know, she says she paid for her school fees, for his kids' school fees. She managed to, you know, stand her household, build everything she needed out of the money from there. You know, which is exactly what she was getting from teaching. So she managed to deal with pressure and it's working for her.
Wow. Okay, so tell me your last words. What can we say to people who are at home, you know, who are maybe dealing with pressure? People also have lost hope. Obviously, as you mentioned in one of your books, you spoke about with how COVID took everything, almost everything away from people, and now they don't feel like going on. What can you say to them right now as an encouragement?
This is what I would say. Life has pressure. Whether we like it or not, somehow, some way, you will face pressure in your life. It's unavoidable. The best thing is to understand, identify your race, understand what's your role in life, where are you placed, and stay in your lane. You know, when they run in athletics and you cross your lane, you get disqualified. So stay in your lane. If you can define your lane and stay there, it will reduce pressure out of your life. Again, going back to the other book, focus. Find something that you can focus on. Channel your energy, channel your everything into that, and forget about what everybody else is doing. Define who you are. That will help you a lot.
So if then I want to buy your book, how do I get hold of you? Do you have any social media account that maybe people can write to?
Yes. Well, I use my handles in Facebook. Of course, it's Malatsi. The same applies to Instagram and Twitter. I don't visit Twitter a lot, but I do have Twitter. And somebody actually reached out to me, just inbox me. Somebody reached out to me, bought 70 books. So it happens. Today courier is very cheap. I can just send it through courier. So the book is available. Pressure, stay grounded, or even focus, pursuing your goal in life. They are both available.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Pastor Malatsi who came into our studio today, and then we just had a book discussion now, and we just want to say we thank him for the encouragement, and I hope that everyone who's watching is encouraged. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you will be receiving notification of what we will be doing. Thank you very much and stay blessed.